This is NBC Nightly News. Reporting from New York, Jessica Savage.
Good evening. A new word has been added to describe the devastation of West Beirut: massacre. Hundreds of men, women, and children were shot to death in West Beirut Palestinian refugee camps. That slaughter apparently by Lebanese Christian militiamen, given control of those camps by the advancing Israeli army. Eyewitnesses called the scene horrifying. And the following report by correspondent Ike Siemens bears that out. We must advise discretion in viewing.
The killings apparently began last night. This morning, bodies were found throughout Sabra, the largest Palestinian refugee camp in West Beirut. Some had been machine gunned, others shot in the head. A family was murdered and pushed into a pile of rubble. Small children were gunned down. Refugees blamed the massacre on Christian militiamen. This woman was rushed to the hospital with severe stab wounds. A friend said the militiamen did it. This man says militiamen pulled him from his house early this morning. A mine blew up in the street. Through an interpreter, he says the militiamen thought he was dead or badly wounded.
They left us on the ground like this. No one looked at us.
At a nearby sports stadium today, several hundred Palestinian men were being held by Israeli soldiers for questioning about terrorist activities here. Frightened women wanted them released for fear they'd fall into the hands of the Christian militia. A soldier said that wouldn't happen, and some would be released.
How many hours? 2, 3, 4 hours?
I don't know, but we are trying to help, okay?
Please.
Please, we are trying to help you, okay?
Former Lebanese Prime Minister Saib Salam asks how the killers got into an area completely surrounded by Israeli soldiers.
I know the information I got was that the camp with peaceful people in it, men, women, and child, as you saw, was encircled by the Israelis, and some of their stooges, I don't know who it was, really, it isn't determined, went in and shot down about 100 people. It's a real massacre.
Meanwhile, the Israelis here continue to round up Palestinian refugees looking for terrorists. Ike Siemens, NBC News, West Beirut.
According to a report by the International Red Cross Committee, hundreds of Palestinians killed were the ones that were already wounded patients. They were murdered in their hospital beds. The Red Cross has appealed to the international community to, quote, intervene immediately in Beirut to stop the intolerable massacre. President Reagan reacted by expressing outrage and revulsion and by demanding that Israel get out of West Beirut now. Details from White House correspondent Andrea Mitchell.
The president met with Secretary of State Schultz to agree on a tough American response, for the first time demanding that Israel get out of West Beirut, and, according to a senior aide, indirectly blaming Israel for not preventing the tragedy. After Schultz met again with the president, the White House underscored administration anger at Israel by arranging this photo opportunity.
We have been, of course, following this terrible tragedy in Beirut. I've been over here conferring with the president off and on all morning, and I've just been with him again. He has a statement that'll be issued immediately, and the statement will speak for itself. Thank you.
The statement Schultz and the president agreed on was the toughest Mr. Reagan has ever issued against Israel. The president said all people of decency must share our outrage and revulsion over the murders. He pointedly said Israel claimed that its moves would prevent the kind of tragedy which has now occurred. And he said the Israeli occupation prevented the Lebanese army from establishing control. Israeli Ambassador Moshe Aarons was called to the State Department, according to the president, to hear the administration demand that Israel get out of West Beirut and begin negotiations for an early withdrawal of all forces from Lebanon. Although Aarons has said that Israel never pledged to stay out of West Beirut after withdrawing, a senior administration official said there is absolutely no doubt in the president's mind that those assurances were given by a variety of Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Begin. Officials here still say the United States will not withhold military aid from Israel. They won't say what the administration will do if Israel ignores its demand and stays in West Beirut. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
Secretary of State George Shultz returned to the White House late this afternoon to brief President Reagan on his talks with Israeli Ambassador to the United States, Moshe Aarons. Senior officials at the State Department today stopped just short of holding Israel responsible for that civilian massacre in Lebanon. From Washington, Fred Francis reports.
The administration stopped short of blaming the Israeli government for the massacre, though just barely. A senior State Department official said late this afternoon that the Israelis had justified their move into West Beirut to secure stability, that the Israelis were in charge, that the Israelis had security control. He said the massacre happened under those circumstances, and those are the facts. The senior State Department official added, quote, "I know that the Israelis knew that the Christian militia were inside the camp. I know because the Israelis told us." The senior official was then asked if the Israelis said they did anything to stop the killings. The senior official added, "Not to my knowledge." Clovis Maqsood, an ambassador of the League of Arab States, said it is now up to the United States to force Israel out of Beirut. He called the administration's next move a litmus test of America's credibility.
As I said, the honor and the word of the United States is at stake, not only in the Arab world, but I suppose throughout the world community.
The administration's first public move to forestall another tragedy was to join with France and Italy in asking the United Nations to immediately send UN observers to Beirut. That move is not likely to silence the outrage in the Arab world. Fred Francis, NBC News, the State Department.
Late today, in Israel, officials expressed shock at the massacre of civilians. They claimed the Israeli army acted to prevent an even larger disaster. Martin Fletcher has this report from Tel Aviv.
No movement at the Prime Minister's residence tonight. It's the Jewish New Year. But the Prime Minister's spokesman said an inquiry is already underway into the massacre. And a Foreign Ministry spokesman said when Israel discovered the massacre was going on, its troops did all it could to prevent the massacre continuing, including using force against extreme elements of the Phalange. He said on occasion Israeli troops opened fire on the Phalange to prevent the continual destruction and murder. And he went on to justify Israel's entry into West Beirut.
I would like to stress that it is only thanks to the presence of Israeli troops in West Beirut that the massacre were not bigger in scope and the Israeli Defense Forces were able to act in order for the killing to stop immediately.
Putting bits and pieces from Israeli sources together, this is what emerges. The Israelis knew the Lebanese army would go into the camps looking for armed Palestinians. The Israelis knew the Lebanese army would call upon the Phalange to help them. The Israelis were not at the entrance to the camps last night when the Phalange went in, although the possibility of Phalange reprisals against Palestinians and against Lebanese leftists was clear to all sides. Indeed, that was the justification for Israel's entry into West Beirut. But by going into West Beirut, the Israeli army took upon itself responsibility for protecting the Palestinians in West Beirut refugee camps. And in this case, the Israeli army did not protect them. That failure now is rapidly building up into a major political row in Israel. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
PLO leader Yasser Arafat has blamed the United States for what he called genocide in Beirut, and he has appealed for a return of international peacekeeping forces to Beirut. Arafat arrived in Syria this morning for a meeting with PLO representatives. Christopher Morris of the BBC reports from Damascus.
They sat in stunned silence around their meeting table in Damascus to watch the television pictures of the atrocities. Alongside the PLO leader, Yasser Arafat, was the Syrian Foreign Minister, Mr. Khaddam. This was the first meeting of the PLO executive since the 9,000 fighters were evacuated from West Beirut 3 weeks ago. And after they'd watched the scenes of the massacres and the devastation of the Sabra refugee camp, their anger increased.
We handed over the city after our departure to the multinational forces, the American, the French, and the Italian. And we have written pledges from Mr. Habib himself to protect the camps, to protect the city, protect the civilians, to protect our people.
They could barely believe the horror of what they'd just seen. But Arafat declared the PLO would not seek revenge. World opinion, he said, would judge the perpetrators of the crime. Christopher Morris, Damascus.
UN Secretary General de Cuellar expressed shock and horror over the killing of civilians in West Beirut. Last night, the U.S. joined in a unanimous vote of the UN Security Council calling on Israel to pull its troops out of West Beirut. The UN Security Council is meeting again this evening in emergency session over the crisis in West Beirut. In Monaco, funeral services today for Princess Grace. That story is next.
There is only one success: to be able to spend your life in your own way.
You can open up your world and make it shine. You can do it. You can squeeze that extra something out of life. Yes, you can. You can set a goal and do it. Add your own style to it. It's your world. It's your life. It's your time. Every minute you can do it. Every day. Yes, you can. You can grow in your own way. You can do it. And we'd like to help. You can do it. You can set a goal and do it. Turn your spirit to it. It's your world, it's your life, it's your time. Every minute you can do it. Every day, yes you can. You can grow in your own way. You can do it. And we like to help.
Visa.
Paladin presents Martha Ray, stage star, denture wearer.
When I have to give an audience my big Martha Ray smile, I need something extra. Extra strength Paladin Green. It gets my dentures sparkling clean. Watch, tough lab stains. Now, extra strength Paladin. It's fantastic. Gets tough stains clean, even in between. So take it from a big mouth. Try Paladin Green. Get tough stains clean with extra strength.
Funeral services for Princess Grace of Monaco were held today in the Hilltop St. Nicholas Cathedral. It was here Grace Kelly of Philadelphia and Hollywood became Monaco's princess. It was here her 3 children were baptized, and it was here family, friends, and fans came to pay their last respects. Jane Poley reports.
The funeral cortege emerged from the gates of Grimaldi Palace this morning as bells tolled. A grieving Prince Rainier, looking older than his 59 years, and his eldest children, Caroline and Albert, followed the steps of pallbearers past mourners and sightseers. The procession wound through the streets of the old city, home to Princess Grace for the last half of her life. From Philadelphia, the home of her youth, brother Jack, and sisters Margaret and Lizanne. These streets and the Cathedral of St. Christopher are filled with personal history. A storybook wedding 26 years ago, the baptism of 3 children, the ill-starred marriage of daughter Caroline. There is a member of the family missing. 17-year-old Princess Stephanie is recuperating from injuries suffered in the accident Monday. She was not well enough to attend. Archbishop Brandt of Monaco read the homily. He said, "Our princess who has helped everyone while she was amongst us, may she now receive the help of our prayers, now that she comes to the end of her road." Mrs. Ronald Reagan, an old friend from Hollywood days. And the Princess of Wales, another commoner who married a prince. Following the Mass, the stricken family led the guests outside. Famous friends like Cary Grant departed. Later, in a private service, the family laid Princess Grace to rest in a tomb inside the cathedral beside princes representing the long line of Grimaldi succession. Grace Kelly is an American legend, but Princess Grace belongs forever to Monaco. Jane Poley, NBC News, Monte Carlo.
Princess Grace's immediate family emerged from the funeral to be greeted by crowds of mourners who shared their grief, as Phil Bremen reports.
All Only dignitaries and relatives were invited to the funeral. Some outsiders were contented just to watch the VIPs. Not every celebrity could get in either. Singer Eddie Fisher came to Monaco without an invitation.
I've gone further places for much less. This is very important. I felt that I should be here.
Some visitors had a definite sense of not belonging. Monaco's usual jet-set excitement was missing. The casinos, shops, and restaurants all were closed. The beaches were open, but few people were there during the funeral. The procession and mass were broadcast live. Tourists from many countries shared the grief of the waiters and maids and others who live here. A businessman from New York noticed.
Everywhere you feel an aura of sadness. I gather that she meant a lot to the people of Monte Carlo.
Princess Grace also meant a lot to a Miami couple who changed their vacation plans to be here today.
It was just a feeling of loss and just stopped to pay respects, I believe.
A tourist from Seattle.
The Princess Grace story is kind of like a fairy tale thing, and I think it's sad now because it's kind of the end of a fairy tale.
Phil Bremen, NBC News, Monaco.
I do a lot of weekend driving in pretty heavy traffic, and everything's riding on my Goodyears. These racing tires give me the kind of handling I need. And during the week, I count on Goodyear Street Radio, because on the track or off, I feel better with the blimp behind me.
Get the blimp behind you. Come up to Goodyear.
You don't have to be a hotshot driver to have a big following.
We asked Kathy Edge if she thought her denture cleanser could clean away cherry stain.
Probably could.
What about a stain of cherry and tea?
I don't think it would do a job on that.
Or a triple stain of cherry, tea, and tobacco?
I'd say definitely not.
Then watch Extra Strength Efferdent attack a triple stain of cherry, tea, and even tough tobacco.
Sparkling clean in between? I'm going to use Efferdent.
Extra Strength Efferdent removes even stubborn stains between teeth. Now look for a free Betty Crocker cookbook in specially marked Efferdent packages.
I bought my bathing suit, what there is of it, on the Riviera.
Very international.
Right down to my card.
International. So worldly, so welcome.
Last night, L.A.
Tonight, Broadway.
So worldly, so welcome. So worldly, so welcome. MasterCard International.
In Honduras, leftist guerrillas are holding 2 cabinet ministers and 102 other hostages, demanding the release of leftist political prisoners. The rebels, armed with submachine guns, have threatened to kill their hostages if their demands are not met. The siege began yesterday when the rebels stormed the Chamber of Commerce building in San Pedro Sula. Late word is negotiations are underway between the Honduran government and the guerrilla commanders. No details about the negotiations have yet been released. In Brussels, Belgium, a man fired a submachine gun at Jews outside a synagogue today. 4 people were wounded. The man escaped after a security guard began returning fire. No one claimed responsibility for this attack, but it was the 3rd anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Belgium in the past 2 years. French police detained 14 people for questioning today following a car explosion yesterday outside a school building. 48 people were injured in yesterday's bombing, mostly school children, as well as an Israeli arms purchasing agent. Today, police were questioning members of a group called Direct Action, which has been associated in the past with anti-Israeli networks. There's been a new attempt to solve this year's political dilemma, how to oppose Reaganomics without seeming to support higher taxes or bigger government. 37 House Democrats have put out an economic manifesto that does not push for full employment, does support a balanced budget, and rejects the kind of jobs program Democrats pushed through the House last week. This is put out by the Democratic caucus, and it supports long-term investment of high technology industries. Well, it's going right down to the wire. A midnight deadline faces negotiators trying to prevent a nationwide railroad strike that some people say would cost the country $50 million per day. If the train engineers walk out, freight traffic by rail will come almost to a stop, as well as passenger traffic in the south and the west. Conrail, the one which serves passengers in the northeast, is covered by a different contract. But bus drivers in Los Angeles are expected to end their strike. That's good news for more than 1 million riders, and even better news for those freeway drivers who feel they've been stuck in traffic since the strike began last Wednesday. We'll be back in a moment.
Now more people take Unisom than any other sleep aid. Millions have discovered that Unisom works. They fall asleep faster. Only Unisom has doxylamine, and in medical tests, Unisom helped people feel drowsy, so they fell asleep faster, significantly faster than they did without Unisom, and slept better all night. For occasional sleeplessness, more people trust Unisom. Take Unisom and fall asleep faster.
If you're worried about stains on your dentures, don't have the cherry pie unless you have the cream. Denture Cream. And don't have the coffee unless you have the cream. Denture Cream. Denture Cream's powerful anti-stain formula helps brush away tough stains, and its refreshing mint flavor leaves dentures clean and fresh. So don't have the berries unless you have the cream. Anti-stain formula Denture Cream with refreshing mint.
The Hilton's right across the street.
Let's meet back at the Hilton at 8.
Meet you at the Hilton at half. I'm over at the Hilton. Come over.
5 minutes to get to the Hilton.
I'm at the Hilton.
Let's walk over to the Hilton. I'll meet you later at the Hilton.
You know the Hilton's got the best steak in town.
See you at the Hilton.
And you can reach me at the Hilton. Just call me at the Hilton, and we'll get down to your business right away.
When American business hits the road, American business stops at Hilton. America's business address.
In some Colorado schools, the principal issue is money. In order to save expenses, they're trying a new 4-day school week. Mary Nissenson visited one school in Elbert, Colorado. Population, 150.
Elbert, Colorado, a small town getting smaller and trying to save money by adopting a 4-day school week. This year, 27 Colorado school districts are doing the same. Elbert's had a 4-day week since 1980, cutting the school budget by almost 20%. Tuesday through Friday, schools open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a long day for elementary school students, but Mary Phillips says her children have adapted and that there are benefits she hadn't expected.
We spend more time as a family together.
Art teacher Cheryl Macomb found longer classes helped her students' performance by allowing them to tackle more complicated projects. School bus driver Alan Gresham has lost a day's pay, but has taken it good-naturedly.
Driving a school bus, it's only a part-time job anyway. And you just have to do another job to make up for it.
The students have mixed emotions.
I've learned as much or more with 4-day week, because you get more time off to go ahead in the book, even though you don't have to.
I don't like it because, to me, you have to make it up in homework, and if you don't make it up on homework, then you have, maybe you get an extra day for chores.
School officials are pleased with how the 4-day week has worked in Elbert.
I'm not sure that it would work or be successful in a large metropolitan area, but I do know it does work in a rural setting.
Ream says the way children live here makes a difference. There's no problem with drug abuse or juvenile delinquency in Elbert, so townspeople don't worry about students having an extra day off. But they do worry that their school district will be consolidated with another larger one. For now, the 4-day school week is buying time. Mary Nissenson, NBC News, Elbert, Colorado.
And in economics, one man or woman's misfortune is often his or her neighbor's gain. Such is the case along the U.S.-Mexican border, where some freelance money changers have set up a brisk black market. George Lewis reports from Tijuana.
The stories of Americans taking advantage of the devalued peso, hoarding cheap Mexican staples, emptying the shelves of Mexican grocery stores, those stories have caused a stir in the Mexican government. This week, the Mexicans posted signs along the border warning Americans of new rules against exporting certain types of groceries. But so far, the checkpoints in Tijuana have not been manned, local officials reluctant to enforce the regulations for fear of hurting tourism. Tomorrow and Monday, the problems caused by the falling peso will be high on the agenda as the governors of the U.S. states along the border meet in Tijuana with their counterparts and with Mexican President Jose Lopez Portillo. He's expected to pledge that the Mexican government is committed to restoring economic stability along the border, and he's expected to ask the help of the U.S. government in doing that. While the peso problems have hurt most businesses along the border, there is one new and booming enterprise on the U.S. side: money changing. A black market in pesos, 90 to the dollar, well above the official rate of 70. Many of these hastily put up change counters are run by Americans who had large sums in Mexican bank accounts. Now they're trying to get rid of their pesos, fearing things might get worse.
What would you do? I want out. Give me my pesos. I'll take whatever I can get.
Meanwhile, even an ice cream parlor on the U.S. side is advertising a money-changing service. 31 flavors and 90 pesos to the dollar. George Lewis, NBC News, on the Mexican border in San Diego.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos wound up his official state visit today with a private meeting with President Reagan. Tomorrow, he'll be the guest on NBC's Meet the Press. And a reminder, Meet the Press is on a half hour earlier during the football season on most of these stations. That's our report tonight. John Hart will be here tomorrow. I'm Jessica Savage from New York. Thank you. And good night from all of us at NBC News.
Place won't be the same without you, Helen.
I could stay on a few more years.
Many Americans retire with only a gold watch to show for their service. As one of the country's largest insurance companies, Century is helping corporations offer their employees more. Century developed a benefits package called Retired Lives Reserve, providing life insurance protection and peace of mind that continues even after retirement.
Helen, all's well that ends well.
All's well that begins well.
With Century, you know all's well.
America on the move. On the tire Michelin pioneered, the Radial. We are moving thousands of trucks and trailers. We are delivering produce and flowers and school children. We are taking people to work, to shop, to play. We are pushing, hauling, carrying, scraping. When America demands performance, we deliver. We are Michelin, and we put America on radials.
Arthritis pain sufferers. Do you know millions of you can take aspirin, even if your stomach is aspirin sensitive, because there's Ecotrin. Look, Ecotrin is not the aspirin substitute. It's aspirin. But Ecotrin helps protect you from aspirin stomach upset with this orange safety coating. Now you can take what doctors recommend most for minor pain, aspirin, but without all aspirin stomach upset. Ecotrin, it's strong. It's orange.
Pope John Paul II, a terrorist hitman, both had an appointment with destiny in St. Peter's Square. It reads like a spy thriller, but it's all true. The assassin is behind bars. The powers behind him are free to strike again. The man who shot the Pope, a study in terrorism. Tuesday.